In Ghana, cowpea is second to granite in terms of cultivation and production. Annual production currently is more than 300,000 metric tons from various farmers across the country. They are mostly grown in the upper part of the country, but due to research, scientists have managed to encourage farmers to produce them also in the middle belt and some parts of the south. Due to its nutritious values and how affordable it is used to prepare one of Ghana's most adorable foods, gari and beans, or gobe, or some call it red. Today on Food Chain, we look at the crop, its importance, and speak to experts about its potential. My name is Prince Apia. Thank you for joining us in this edition. So first, in today's episode, we'll look at the hikes in the prices of cowpeas or beans that has resulted in affecting the consumption of one of Ghana's most adorable food, gari and beans. That's a report by Anita Sewa Ajuga.
My name is Godbless Nyama.
22-year-old Godbless Nyama loves gari and beans. That is his go-to meal every day before the day ends. A day without eating this food means he has to spend more.
And beans is one of my favorite foods. With 4 cedis, I'll get satisfied and it can keep me for the whole day.
His daily budget has been affected due to the price increase of his favorite meal. As a student, the meal sustains him through the day at a minimal cost, but the situation is different now.
With 4 cedis, I used to get satisfied. It could sustain me till the rest of the day. But now it's either I go for a second round or I increase the amount that I'm going to buy.
Efia Mansa carefully pounds this quantity of beans in a mortar. This activity is to easily separate chaff from the beans properly before she cooks it. She then pours the beans on a perforated wooden tray, rubs her hands on the beans to get rid of the chaffs. This is meant for her gobe food joint at Eija in Kumasi. Though a sack of beans is expensive, Mansa complains the sack is full of chaffs.
You can see that the beans is full of chaffs. Our customers get angry when we refuse to sell the beans at 1 cedis.
Just like other gobe sellers, she has increased the price of her beans to stay in business.
Although we have increased the beans to 1 cedi 50 pesos, I'm unable to make enough profits. Beans in retail are often sold in locally measured cups, container bowls, and sometimes bags for wholesale. A cup of beans in the Kumasi Central Market was sold at 2 cedis 50 pesos between January and September, but it has suddenly shot up to 5 Ghana cedis per cup.
Because each time we went to buy, they increase the price of the beans. Yeah, they complain. Some even when they come, they refuse to buy because of the price.
A bag of imported beans from neighboring French-speaking countries sold between 300 cedis and 400 cedis at the beginning of the year is now sold at 600 Ghana cedis. Alhaji Baba is an importer of the staple food. He attributes the increase to the safer and high cost of fertilizer prices.
Beans no ni bebere free France country ena eba. France country a free bano. Sefa na ya de kofa. Ebi fi Burkina, ebi fi Niger. Ente sefa no akosoro sama. Yakofa.
We import most of the beans from French countries, but the safer keeps increasing. Now most of the importers are unable to buy the beans.
Price no wasoro. Ya ankasa bebere kura ntimi fa ne manamba. Ya ho kire ya papa.
Meanwhile, Baba's customer, Comfort, says she is unable to buy beans in large quantities due to the high price coupled with increase in fuel prices.
First, ukita 20 million out in Fanema. Now, so I feel way dear. No, ukita 20 million. What beans are you bagging me?
I can only afford to buy 2 bags of beans with an amount of 2,000 Ghana cedis.
Well, it is evident that until the Ghana cedi stops depreciating and fuel prices are reduced, food prices will still keep going high. Anita Sewa Ajoga's report read to you.
So, Anita's story makes it very, very clear that indeed, because cowpea or beans is partly imported, it is a major contributor to the hikes in the prices. And so what did we do? We sought answers from researcher and cowpea breeder from the Cross Research Institute, Dr. Sly Addy.
We have noted that there is that bit of import of cowpeas, into the country, from notably Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Nigeria. So when you get to the market, you would come across cowpeas that they have named. The marketers, the traders have named Niger, Lagos, Burkina, Mali, So that tells you that these are coming from these, neighboring countries. And so the situation really is that for a number of years, we have not been able to meet the demand of cowpeas as a country in Ghana. So that's why the inflows or the import of cowpeas, has come to stay. We are witnessing that, and that, comes to supplement the cowpea production that that goes on in the country. And as cowpea breeders, what we have tried to do is to breed for varieties of cowpeas that have these qualities or properties for which reason consumers in Ghana move up to these neighboring countries to import the cowpeas. An example of an attribute is the early cooking attribute or trait, of these other cowpea varieties from outside. And then the large seeded, trait. So for some time now, with the support of AGRA, we have begun to develop varieties that have these traits. And so that we can kind of help reduce the importation of cowpeas from other countries. Cowpeas, which are short duration and can withstand some amount of drought. So that has contributed to the increase in cultivation of cowpeas now. But the other side too is that you will need seed to grow, those acres of lands of, under cowpea. And there isn't much of improved or certified seed being sold out there. So what farmers really do is that they go to the markets to buy the grain in the market and use it as seed to sow. Of course, that also has contributed to the low yields we find in their farms, okay? But consumers and traders or processors also would want to go to the markets to buy the grain to process for gobe, all right? So there is a scramble, for the same grain by consumers, by traders, at the same time by farmers who now have realized that if they planted cowpeas, cultivated cowpeas, especially in this minor season, knowing very well that climate change issues, now is so clear, they will want to now go for, cowpea seed, cowpea grain, and use it as a seed. So all these have contributed to the increase in the price of cowpeas in the market.
Cooking cowpea can be very, very difficult. We are told it can take between 30 to 40 minutes for one to boil cowpea successfully. But scientists and researchers at the Crop Research Institute, for instance, have come out with some new varieties that can be cooked or boiled under
first no and ka no beans are what the can go say be intem and say be intem but we no because of say o ma ye die e be intem and no ya fa kan be ngbo but atumi aben within 30 minutes.
Eunice Mensah is a cowpea farmer at Ijima.
Mantem omudi ba late nti tama e ba ya medua na madua me beans na wie na me kodua kakra bi na no no kra san ye ntam asen dem di kan dua ye no e ye ntam e na emua no so nha no se de wokwa de medua ye no emua no ha no no a me bo spray ni bebre no we no emua no ha no sa ti we ni de ye kama pa.
She explained that the new cowpea variety were barely attacked by the pests and grew rapidly when she planted them.
I would see so as see us na ben e so. I would see just so as see na ben. E ben so na ya kese kama akon no e de.
Yo, me pacha me da se bebre. Me de kande ndome me frevre hia wawu.
Another farmer, Kede Dome, explained she was surprised at the rapid growth and higher yields after planting one of the varieties of cowpeas.
Me dua zanzam ni bin fights. Beans ni ye me wanwa de na ye me wanwa. Because date na me dua bi me si date ye dua ye beans ya kese ya. Bosome ene na wo twimienu ena beans ni be yi flowers. Me dua beans nya bosome ba kwa mekwa akohwe beans no. Na beans na yi flowers na ye me wanwa na me say na de beans na ma ba be dua beans enso so na me si pa na beans na nkasa na eseweni ese wa akohu se de beans ni si aye esi aso beans no so ofe esoso.
The new cowpea varieties, including Zanzam, Nketwade, Hansedua, and Ajinkwa, were developed by the Crops Research Institute. The new varieties are early maturing, high yielding, fast cooking, nutritious, and exhibit tolerance to drought and common insect pest diseases of cowpeas. The Zanzama variety particularly is rich in mineral iron and has the potential to reduce iron deficient illness, especially in children and women.
Compared to bro,
Dr. Sylvester Addy is the project's focal person at the Crops Research Institute.
The project is the Ghana Early Generation Seed Consortium. It's actually made up of a number of state organizations in addition to private companies. And we are interested in making sure the value chain works. When I talk of value chain, I'm talking of the breeder seed that comes from the breeding institution, just like the Crops Research Institute. Then it goes to the next company or the next level. In this case, the Legacy Crop Improvement Center. So they will produce the foundation seed, and then they will now send the seed to other private companies who would produce the certified seed. So just to make sure that the gap which has been observed, as the seed gap will be bridged. Many a times we develop improved varieties, but these improved varieties hardly get down to the farmers who are supposed to be the direct beneficiaries of these improved varieties. Improved varieties because these varieties have been developed against insect pest attack, diseases, and we've also worked on their yield so that they have higher yields compared to what the farmers would normally cultivate on their fields. All to ensure that there is food security and there is nutrition security, and then also the farmers are able to gain some profit from the farming they do.
The project, supported by the Alliance for the Green Revolution in Africa with funding from the USAID, seeks to bring key actors along the cowpea value chain to address bottlenecks so farmers could benefit from existing high-quality seeds available in the country. The project seeks to ensure improved seeds from breeder institutions like the Crops Research Institute are made available to certified private seed companies and ultimately farmers.
So, with what we are seeing here, there is a lot of growing interest into cowpea production in Ejura, moving up to the north. What we are saying is that we as government workers, as research scientists, we are doing what we should be doing to develop improved varieties. And here is a case, even funding for research has dwindled down significantly. What we are saying is that we are asking the government to come in and then add cowpea production to the planting for food and jobs, because cowpea is a significant food security crop in this country, looking at the nutritional composition and the advantages, the economic advantages that it provides. So we are asking that the government should come in, provide research funds to Crops Research Institute and other research organizations for us to be able to produce results, and that will help drive the agricultural sector and the economic sector of Ghana. And at the end of the day, the government will gain the glory for it, and we all get food secure in this country.
The Ejura municipality is noted for its significant cowpea production. However, cowpea farms within the municipality are faced with poor yields as a result of bad farming practices and low use of improved varieties. Farmers
these days, what we realize is that farmers around Ejura Dumasi area normally do what we all die be die, that is broadcasting. They spray their field, then broadcast the seed, then they use a tractor to plow and allow it to germinate by itself. One, the disadvantage of doing that is most of the seeds are not getting soil to seed contact, so they will not germinate. And by doing that, you increase cost in terms of seed purchase. And also, you plow a large acreage of land, but only a few portion of the land is the seed germinates, and by so you reduce your yield when harvesting is due. And there has been another trend also. People are using, especially in controlling of pests, instead of going by the recommended practices, that is the manufacturer's dosage that you use to spray the gun. Now these days they are using milk tin. They fetch a full tin of milk and put it in 15 knapsack sprayer. By doing that, you rather increase the dosage of the chemical on the crop, and the crop will pick. We have what we call residual effects. The residual effect, the crop will pick, and eventually those who consume the tin, who consume the product, will have the side effects in due course. So we are preaching that they should always go by the recommended dosage so far as the manufacturer is concerned.
Welcome back to Food Chain. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. At this point, Odilia Intiamwa will be speaking to Professor Mrs. Alabi.
Food and Drugs Authority. At the time you were leaving, up until now, Ghana is still being described by the FAO, by the World Food Programme, and different international organizations as having quality issues, contaminants, consistently the lack of education within the space in terms of duty bearers, food vendors not having any form of education has not changed since you left in 2005. What can be done, since you're a food specialist also?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I cannot say for a fact that nothing has changed or something has not changed. I believe that the Food and Drugs Board, since I left the place, would have changed several times since.
Yeah, it's no longer
particularly,
a board, it's now an
authority.
Yeah.
It has also left where we used to be, and it's now housed in its own office complex.
Yeah.
So I believe it's changed. But yes, I would agree with you to a very large extent that there is a lot more that we can do as a people. And much of it depends on the media as well, because it is a cultural thing, the way we do our things. We see fruits and vegetables being sold on the bare floor. Who is checking it? And why is it not changing? But I did some work as a framework consultant to the EU, working with fruits and vegetable exporters in Ghana. We worked on the Pesticides Initiative Program. And one of the things I observed is that when you go to the farm, have we asked ourselves whether we even have farmhouses? We have quality or standard basic farmhouses. When the farmers go there and they need to ease themselves, where do they do it?
It's in the farm.
Good. Do they have tissue and tea roll to wipe their hands? And I'm talking about practical things that happen on the farm. Most of them don't. Do they have flowing water on the farm? Most of them. Pipe-borne water? Most of them don't. Right? So just after easing themselves, they get some leaves to take care of themselves, and the next thing is they're harvesting. They're touching vegetables. They're touching fruits. What do we expect to happen to these fruits and vegetables? When we look at the transportation system for conveying foods from the farm to the market, what happens within that period? Series of contamination occurs. And it is not surprising that diseases like typhoid and all those are quite common in our environment, right? Because it's just a cycle. It goes on and on and on. When it comes to grains, how do we store them? What is the water content of those grains? And you go to the market and you speak to the market women, and they will tell you that, oh, they prefer the kukudabi corn to the kukuluku corn, right? The kukudabi corn, my understanding, is the one that is very dry with a lot of the powder in it. Do we understand that powder? Do we understand the powder? Are you getting my point of view? Because the storage systems for food has not been properly planned and managed. We have silos that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah perceived and put up. What has happened to those silos? These are questions that we need to be asking. And what kind of food control program do we have in the system to manage food quality? So we have things like our grains not properly dried, and they're growing mold, and the mold contaminating the, the foods with what is generally called, in the technical terms, microtoxins, or some specific ones like the aflatoxins, which we all know that they have the potential to also cause, some diseases, particularly cancers in the body. So we have a long way to go from the farm to the market to the home, where the foods are even prepared, we have an issue. The local authorities are supposed to be responsible for street food vending. And when people are selling food on the streets, these people needed to have been tested for typhoid, for TB, for HIV, so forth and so on, you know, before they sell food. And every 6 months, it needs to be renewed. To what extent do we do that? But I think that the media has a critical role to play in that respect. We need to educate people. We need to let people understand why it is not good to put fresh fruits and vegetables on the bare floor, like what we would see at Agbogloshi or any traditional market or even by the streets. We need to let people know why it is not safe to sell certain things in traffic, like foods in traffic.
Like what kind of food?
Several foods in traffic. Sometimes I see some dairy products being sold, and I ask myself whether they are being handled within ambient temperature conditions, you know, because if they don't, then we have a lot of, you know, micro organism activities probably going on, and we just pass them on to the people who buy them. So those are some of the examples. But having been to Mokola in the past, I saw that they have some very innovative practices that appear safe. I see women carrying food, headpans, but when they bring them down, there's fire under it. Yeah. I don't know how it's done, but that for me, it's a very good practice. It's very innovative, and to a very large extent could keep the food safe.
Especially beans and cocoa.
It has been an exciting edition of Food Chain today, learning about cowpea and the new varieties. My name is Prince Apia. Thank you for joining us in this edition. See you next week.